As David tightened the last bolt on the tire, his hands calloused and blackened with grease, he couldn't help but glance at the crumpled eviction notice peeking out of his pocket. He didn't know why he'd stopped to help a stranger on the side of the road when his world was already falling apart, but something about her desperate expression reminded him of a promise he'd made to his late wife: always show kindness, no matter how heavy your own burden. David Reynolds, a 36-year-old single father, had been juggling too many responsibilities since losing his wife, Emily, in a car accident 3 years ago. Emily had been his anchor, his light in a stormy world, and her absence left him struggling to raise their 8-year-old daughter, Lily, alone. Between his job as a delivery driver, late rent payments, and Lily's growing needs, life had become an uphill battle. It was on a chilly November afternoon that he spotted the stranded car on the shoulder of the highway. A woman in her late 40s stood beside it, looking flustered as she fumbled with her phone. Traffic roared by, and the look of helplessness on her face stirred something in David. Despite his tight schedule, he pulled over, parking his battered pickup truck behind her luxury sedan. "Need a hand?" David asked, walking over. The woman turned toward him, visibly relieved. "Oh, thank goodness. My tire's flat, and my phone isn't getting any signal out here. I've never changed a tire in my life." David nodded and went straight to work, grabbing the tools from her trunk. He didn't ask questions or make small talk, he just focused on the task at hand. But as he worked, the woman observed him. His clothes were clean but worn, his boots scuffed, and his face carried the weight of exhaustion. "Thank you so much," she said as he finished. "You really saved me." "No problem," David replied, wiping his hands on his jeans. "Just glad I could help." She reached into her designer purse, pulling out a $100 bill. "Please, take this. It's the least I can do." David hesitated but eventually shook his head. "I can't take your money. Just pass on the kindness when you get a chance." He tipped his hat and returned to his truck, leaving her stunned by his humility. Back at home, the eviction notice loomed over David like a dark cloud. He had less than a week to come up with the rent, and he was still short. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, she asked, "Daddy, are we going to have to move again?" David forced a smile. "No, sweetheart. I'll figure something out. I always do." But deep down, he wasn't sure how much longer he could keep up the fight. The woman David had helped was Margaret Ellis, a self-made millionaire and CEO of a successful tech company. Known for her philanthropy, she couldn't shake the memory of the kind man who had helped her without expecting anything in return. She often encountered people who only saw her wealth, but David's sincerity left a mark. Determined to find him, Margaret contacted her team to locate the Good Samaritan. Using the vehicle description and the area where she had been stranded, it wasn't long before they found David's modest address. A week later, David was startled by a knock on his door. Standing on his porch was Margaret, dressed in casual clothes and holding a folder. "Ms. Ellis," he asked, recognizing her immediately. "I hope I'm not intruding," she said with a warm smile. I couldn't forget what you did for me, and I wanted to thank you properly." David looked at her, confused. "I told you, I didn't do it for money." "I know," Margaret said, stepping inside when he invited her. "That's why I'm here." She explained that she wanted to help him not with charity, but with an opportunity. She had learned about his financial struggles and discovered he had a talent for mechanics, often repairing neighbors' cars for free. "What if I invested in you?" she proposed. "You could open your own auto repair shop. It's clear you have the skills, and it could give you and your daughter a fresh start." David was speechless. "Why would you do this for me? You don't even know me." Margaret smiled. "Because I believe in paying kindness forward. And because the world needs more people like you." Over the next few months, Margaret helped David secure a loan, using her connections to negotiate favorable terms. She even offered business mentorship, guiding him through the process of setting up his shop. Lily's garage, named after his daughter, became a beacon of hope in their community. David worked tirelessly, and the business thrived. He hired others who had struggled like him, giving them a chance to rebuild their lives. Years later, as David stood in his bustling garage, watching Lily help a customer at the front desk, he couldn't help but think back to that cold November afternoon. One act of kindness had set off a chain reaction, transforming not only his life but the lives of others. Margaret remained a close friend and mentor, and every year, David and Lily joined her for Thanksgiving dinner, where they shared stories of how kindness had changed their lives. Sometimes, the smallest acts of kindness can lead to the greatest transformations. In helping others, we often find the help we need ourselves.